Welcome back to character modeling. In the previous lesson, we attached the fingers to the palm of the hand and shaped them. And in this lesson, we're going to add on the thumb, create some knuckles across the top, and then finish off the hand with some detail in the palm, shaping the inside of the palm and the top of the hand. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to come back over here into my outliner, and I'm going to turn back on the first finger that we duplicated, and we're going to just duplicate this again. Kind of slide that off here to the side. Let's go ahead and turn this one off again. Okay, and it's a good idea to actually save off a finger like this. You can just export the whole finger with the fingernail, and that way you have something in your library that's already pre-made. And you can import that into a new scene when you're working on a new character and then reshape it the way you need and not have to go through the trouble of modeling a whole new finger. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's remove these extra edges that got in here accidentally. So I'm just double-clicking on those and deleting both the edge and the vertex. If you don't have that out there on your shelf, it's under Edit Mesh, Delete Edge and Vertex. Okay, so with that gone, let's come back to Object Mode, and we can shape this now, so it needs to be scaled down. This is our thumb. So we can scale it down and scale it in just a little bit. And the ends here, we can push those in a little bit more. Let's come back to 1 on our keyboard. We can see what we're doing a little bit better. And I don't want to get all of this too compressed here, so I'm going to grab the knuckles, just so our knuckles don't start getting real thin looking, and just go ahead and widen those out. So we want the overall length of it to be scaled down, but we don't want the knuckles getting too narrow there. Okay, so with that shaped, let's arrow up and get the whole thumb there. Let's reposition that down here on the end so we can angle it, our pivot point. So that's just insert on the keyboard, and I'm going to just drag it in here, and then insert to get out of it. Okay, and let's go ahead and drag this over here into position. Still looks a little long. Let's go ahead and scale it down just a little bit more. There we go. And get that into position, and let's rotate it. So I'm just looking over here in my channel box. I think negative 45 degrees will probably work fine. And we'll need to get it a little bit closer. So it's going to connect with these faces right here. And we'll have to kind of pre-shape these a little bit to help them fit a little better and make that bridge connection a little more smoothly. So let's go ahead and bring this down a little bit more and out. Okay, so that's looking about right. If I just kind of look at the overall top of the hand here and kind of envision this connecting here, that looks like it's about in the right place. Okay. Let's go back to 1 on the keyboard with the hand and remove these faces here that we no longer need. And let's start to pre-shape this a little bit. Let's pull out some of these vertices that are going to connect here. And I'm not going to snap them all the way. We're going to bridge this, so we'll go ahead and make a connection there. And let's bring these back a little bit. Okay, so something like that. And these can even come out just a little bit. I think we might be able to angle this out just a little bit more and maybe bring this out to about, let's round that off at 50, negative 50 on the rotate Y, just to make that connection a little cleaner through here. Okay. So kind of rotate the thumb out. It does add just kind of one more rotation that you have to do when you are rigging, but this is really how the thumb does go when it's just relaxed and you're holding your hand out. You can take a look at your hand and just see how the thumb angles off like this. So let's go ahead and kind of calculate for that. It's going to cause some twisting up in here, so I'm going to kind of minimize that, and let's just rotate it, let's say 25, just to give it a little bit of a rotation there, but not cause a tremendous amount of twisting on our bridge. Okay? So with that done, we need to combine these. So I'm grabbing the group here. We can rename our group thumb. And then I'm going to shift select the hand, and we'll need to combine the mesh. And then we can grab the edge, double clicking on here, shift, double click on the other side, the opening, and we'll come under Edit Mesh Bridge option box. I'm just going to reset that. So we don't need 5 divisions, we probably only need 1. And let's try it with a linear path and see if that works. So there's the twisting that I mentioned. So we're going to have to correct for that. Kind of move some of the vertices around. And the other thing I'm noticing is the knuckle should really be across these 4 faces and not up here. So we're probably going to remove some of the edges right here and then extrude the knuckle off of this point right here, because it's sitting up just a little too high. Okay, and the thumb is still, it's not too long. I think if we just move our knuckle down here, it should look a little better. Let's go ahead and remove those edges. So I'm just going to double click, and we'll have to kind of go around here a couple times. I just wanted to remove these 2 here. Okay, and we will also need to remove, let's go ahead and remove all of these, and then we'll just reinsert edge loops. That way we don't have that bend up here with the vertices pulled out. Okay, so that gets rid of that, and we can kind of start shaping where the knuckle's going to go. So I'm going to pull that out a little bit, and these can come down. Angle these down just a little, and this can come up, just trying to get the edge flow coming across here, and this can come out and round out a little bit more. And come up as well. Okay, so let's kind of shape some of these around here as well. Pulling these up. And I got something over here on the other side that I didn't want. Okay, so pulling these forward a little bit. And the thumb is always the kind of trickiest one to get attached on here because of that angle. So I'm going to start pulling some of these forward here again. There we go. And these can come forward as well and get pushed in a little bit. Same thing here. That's kind of the little bit of webbing there that we have between our palm, the side of our hand, and the thumb. Okay, these 2 points can come up a little bit and probably forward. Okay, so just kind of creating a little bit of a curve through here. You can see that. And let's pull this forward and kind of straighten it out a little bit. Okay. And this is all kind of coming down just a little bit. That's okay. We're actually going to pull That's sort of that mound area on the palm that we're going to pull down here in a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave that as is. Maybe just angle these down a little bit more here. Okay, so let's go ahead and extrude these 4 faces and recreate a knuckle here. I'm going to center that in world space, scale it in, and then pull it up. It's going to be kind of pulled up and out because the angle we're working with. Okay, probably scale it in just a little more. Okay. And it's probably sticking out just a little too much. That's kind of a big knuckle, or at least it is on me. It kind of sticks out a little further than some of the other knuckles. So let's go ahead and add our edge loop right here to kind of create a little bit crisper edge. And we'll drop one in right here. That's going to give us a little bit more resolution to work with here, which is going to help with just animation and deforming. So let's make a little room for that. Go. And some of these could probably come back just a little. Oops, that actually went up. Here we go. All right. So let's start pulling the palm of the hand down, grabbing some of these points here, and bringing that down. I think this one could come down as well, and probably start coming over to the side. We're going to start kind of creating a little bit of a curve right here, and this looks like our kind of the high point right here, and this one as well. So let's really kind of pull those down. If we hit 3 on the keyboard, you can start to see that working. Okay, and I can actually push these over, rather, to the center. So you can see that mound kind of forming right there. And we'll do the same thing over here, kind of underneath the pinky finger. We have another kind of smaller mound that comes out. And then we can push these towards the center. This one should come out just a little further. There we go. Even this one right here can come over. And then we can take these 2 points here in that center line and kind of pull them up a little. And now you can kind of see a little bit more of an exaggeration of those mounds under there. Okay, so that's starting to help our thumb with the shape here. I can pull some of these down just a little. And we've got a crease here, kind of similar to the crease under these knuckles. So we're going to grab a couple of these points here and pull them up. And we'll have to kind of pull some of these points forward just a little bit. There we go. Come back to 1 on the keyboard, we can see what we're doing just a little bit better as far as creating those creases under here. So I'm going to kind of push these back. And these can come forward a little bit. Same thing here. Let's grab the wrong one. There we go. And this will help kind of create that crease in there that we're after. All right. And then I'm just kind of cleaning up some of the edge flow along here, making sure that it's all kind of flowing nicely from the thumb all the way up to the finger. Okay. This one could probably come up just a little bit more. So the thumb kind of going to take most of this lesson here. We kind of saw how easy it was to attach all the other fingers on there. And then the thumb really kind of takes a little bit more time just because of this angle that it sits at. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Let's come back here and hit 3 on the keyboard. Okay, so we can see a little bit of creasing under here starting to happen. If you want to grab a couple more of these points and pull them down, you can do that, or forward. Okay, and this point could probably come down. There we go. So it's a little bit of kind of back and forth here until we get it right. And we've got kind of another little fold right here. If you look at the palm of your hand, you'll see a little bit of a fold right in there. So that's probably fine for that. Pull that down a little bit more. Okay. So let's work on the knuckles. The knuckles across the top here are pretty simple. We're just going to insert an edge loop about halfway between these two existing loops. And we'll go ahead and select the faces on here. And we'll do 2 at a time. So let's go ahead and extrude that. Center it in world space. We're going to scale it in and then pull it up. And just repeat that down the hand here. So make sure you're just in world space, so you're kind of in the center there. Pull that up. Check your angles, that they're all about the same height. Okay, last one here. There we go. And we can come across the top here and grab those vertices and pull them back. And we can do the same here with these. All right, so that kind of rounds them out a little bit. And we still got the flatness. Hit 3 on the keyboard. We've got that kind of flatness still happening on the top of the hand that we need to sort of round out and create some volume there. So let's start grabbing some points. And I'm grabbing the points kind of following that finger, the center of the finger. I don't want to grab these in between ones because these are kind of recessed areas on the hand. I mean, we could pull them up a little bit, but we really just want to kind of pull this area up. And these areas here as well. And I did grab this one back here. We can even grab these right here. I think we need to kind of pull this whole area up and create some thickness there. And then I'm going to deselect the ones on the outside. Pull this up just a little bit more. And again, deselecting these areas here and then kind of pulling it up again in the middle. All right, so you can see how that's created some thickness across the top. Just a little too much, and then we can come back here and do the same. There we go. Even right here. All right. So let's come back here. And I'm going to turn wireframe off just to kind of look at it. And this is a very stylized, kind of cartoony hand that we've got here. The knuckles are very kind of defined and crisp. If you want to, especially the ones across the fingers here, these are not as bad. They've got less loops around them. If you want to kind of soften these, you can always grab the faces. If they're just a little bit too much of an edge on there, you can kind of push them down a little bit. And that will soften them out, and you can also scale them in. So if the edges are further apart, it's going to relax that edge. So if we come back out here now and look at it, you can see that's much softer. If you want this kind of a look as opposed to the real crisp knuckle, you can just adjust it by doing that. Or maybe halfway in between would be kind of a nice look. So I'm going to leave mine kind of crisp like that. And we've got one more thing to do. We've got his hand right here. We can see the pivot point is down here at the origin, which is where we want it. We've got a lot of history running here. That's pretty much all the way clear back to our poly cylinder. So let's go ahead and delete the history on it. The transformations are already at 0, so we're fine there. And then let's go ahead and duplicate special over to the other side. So -1 in scale X. It copies that over. Let's go back into our outliner. And this is our left hand. Or actually the character's left hand. Character's right hand. And this is the character's left hand. Okay. And here's our finger, original one, that's turned off. So make sure you export that and keep that into a library. You can also just export the hand out under File, Export Selection. And you can just call this Cartoon Hand Mail and just save that off. And that way you've got kind of a nice piece of geometry there in your library. You can do the same thing with your shoes. Okay, so we've completed the body now, and in the next lesson we're going to start blocking out the head.